So prayer. The Father which art in heaven, we're very grateful for this opportunity to be in this sanctuary. Be with each member in attendance as well as who are listening online. Give us the heart to open our hearts, listen to the word of God, and learn something important from it and apply it for the life that for the next week. For Christ's sake, amen. I was very impressed with this concept. When I studied the Exodus chapter 20, this goes by the Ten Commandments. Go by that. Thou shalt love your God, no idols, and then keep your Sabbath, and honor your parents, and then don't steal, don't kill, and don't lie. And what's the number 10? That's that don't covet. Okay? And then I said, that's quite interesting. So I became very interested in that. Before I get into the two concepts, one, do not covet. Number two, give thanks in everything. And how do we get all together? Let me ask, by question and answer session, I learned a lot from the patients, so I'll apply the same technique. Question. Have you ever heard of this saying that keeping up with the Jones, or keeping somebody, okay? What does it mean? Is it good or is it bad? Or stay in tune for the answer to this question. Keeping up with the Jones means keeping up with the neighbors. Okay? So, I have two main verses. Exodus 20:17, and then also 1 Thessalonians 5:17. Okay, Exodus, pay attention. There is several elements. You shall not covet. Then go through the neighbor's house, and neighbor's wife, male servant and female servant, and ox and donkey, or anything else that is not yours. And 1 Thessalonians 5:18, give thanks in all circumstances. And another translation goes, give thanks in everything. For this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. So when I read those two texts and said, there is something very deep. So let's start with the covetousness. Something that you don't own, you try to get it. Then what is the definition of a covetousness? The dictionary said it is marked by the inordinate, very unusual, very extreme desire for wealth, possessions, or for another's possession. In other words, something you don't own. An example is that she looked at his boss's new car with covetous eyes, and the synonym for the covetousness is greed and avarice. So, if you read the Exodus 28 and 17, they go back several items. The first one is what? Don't covet your neighbor's wife. Why? It has to do with the lust. And here's the very important point I want to make sure I can relate. There is a principle which is in life operate. It's called mind and action. Mind and action. What does it mean? It's never the other way around. See, always with the mind, what you think, and you do behavior, action. It's not the other way around. Inward lust, okay, that's happening with the mind, versus outward, something that you can see, outward adultery, the action. Verse 28, okay, said, I say to you, this is Matthew 5:28, I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with a lustful intent, is it outside or inside? It's inside. It's a mind. Has already committed adultery. It's inside or outside? It's outside. It's action with her in his heart. So this is Matthew 5:28. I want to see the follow the principle. It's called mind action. Mind and action. So I show this picture. Here is a boy. Okay. Here's a boy, and then moving arm, legs, and so forth. It's action. But before you move your arm, legs, and toes, what happens? You think first. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to grab this one. Okay? So it's always start with the top. Where is what's here? It's the brain. The brain is the one which conducts all the thinking, judgment. So always remember, mind action simply means what you think here, up here, and upstairs is going to happen with the hands and legs. It's a mind action principle. So I'm going to talk about two individuals in the Bible, King David and also King Ahab. Now, King David's situation is very interesting. King David, and then also I'll talk about the Uriah. Okay? King David is married, and how many wives did he have? Many, more than one. Okay? So, and then he had many wives, concubines, and do not need any more women. Okay? On the other hand, Uriah, he's a very faithful and then loyal soldier working for King David. And Uriah is married to Bathsheba. He had only one wife, one dear wife. And then he was very faithful, loyal, and then so. Now one day, when everybody's working hard and outside fighting, and King David walk around in the house, and from the house top, here's the key point. Look over the fence, and then what happened? Looked at the Bathsheba, which is and once, only once. See, to look at the Bathsheba once is no good, is not bad, but to look at twice, there's a problem. That's the issue. Then King David coveted her. See, this is where the covetousness comes into picture. Then what happened? Their insatiable desire, very strong, excessive desire to have her as a wife. That's what's happening. It's inside. It's inward. It's a lust and mind. Now what's happening in the brain is carried out to the outside, outward adultery, which is action. Then what happened? Bathsheba became pregnant, so he wants to hide his sin. What happened next? He premeditated a murder plan. And then David wrote the letter and gave it to the captain, and basically said, this is your death sentence. Okay, so this is what happened. That's King David. I'm going to come back into it. Uriah had one wife, and then he had he was sent back home by David to cover up his sins, and how Bathsheba became pregnant. And then the Uriah never came back to his own house. He never went back and slept with his wife. The reason why, all other soldiers out in the field, and they were endured inconveniences and then hardships. Why do I go home and sleep with my wife? And say, what a loyal statement, very faithful statement. So King David grabbed this very faithful Uriah and said, here's the letter, take it to your captain. And he carried the letter, and what happened? Uriah was murdered, okay? It was a premeditated murder. He was murdered in the battlefield as planned to cover up the secret sin of David. And it was a criminal charge of murder, but King David got away because he was a king. And it's a scot-free. So before I leave this slide, remember, King David, look over the fence. That's the first part. Look at the Bathsheba once is not bad, but twice that's not good. Now covetousness came into equation, and mind, action, lust, and adultery. And then David, this covetousness ended up with a murder. So always remember, mind, action. Mind, action. So covetousness, jealousy, and envy, and then it goes down, and the end result is not good. So neighbors, next you should covet your neighbor's house, okay? And also the neighbor's wife and so forth. I'll discuss. Now, why did the Bible talk about a male servant, a female servant? Okay, let's make two categories. This is you and your neighbor. You look at yourself and say, okay, I have one servant, and I have one servant, I have two. And you're very happy. You're very happy with what's happening, what you have. Once you look over, see, this is the key concept. Once you look over the fence, you look at the other people. Ooh, how many people that my neighbor has? There's a 5 servant. Ooh, how many male servants? There are 5. So I have only 2. The neighbor has a 10. Now you look at self. This guy you was very happy first. Now you look like, oh, you're poor, but the neighbor is wealthy. Now you're not happy after you look over the fence. Then what happened? That's the same sequence. Covetousness comes into our head. Jealousy, envies, and then goes through. Now, that's the story of the male servant, the female servant. Let's go to the Proverbs 15, 16. What it says, Bible says, better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble with it. There's something very important principle. Then Luke 12, 15, I'm going to summarize. 15 said, and he said to them, take care, be on your guard against what? Covetousness. For one's life does not consist in, keep on, abundance of his possessions. Wow, pay attention to this covetousness issue. Philippians 4:11 said, not that I am, this is Paul speaking, not I am speaking of being in need. I'm not saying that I need something, okay? I'm speaking of not of need. But, keep on, I have learned, I means Paul, St. Paul is, I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. Question, is contentment be happy with what you have? Is it an inheritance, something that you get from your parents, or is it a learned behavior? It's a learned behavior. It's not something that your parents gave to you. No, it is a learned behavior. Okay? Now, let's go back to Exodus 20 and 17. I'm breaking up. Why the Bible talks about the ox and donkey? Let's go back and think about it. What is the ox? Ox is a service animal. The more ox you have, more livelihood, okay? And then you have more profit. If you translate this Bible verse, ox means, in a modern world, what does it mean? That means the more tractors, more combines, more harvesters, that means you have more plows and more harvest, you have more money, and you become wealthy. That's the meaning of the more oxen and donkey, okay? And what is a donkey? Donkey is a pack animal. Well, what do you use for donkey for? To carry the things. It's called good transportation. And when you have more donkeys, then you can carry more goods, more material for the trading. So if you translate this concept, more donkeys in the Bible time, in our time, meaning you have more trucks to carry the goods. Okay? That means you have more trading, more trading, more business transaction means you have more profit and more money. You get the point? Okay? So you have to understand what that ox means. Ox is translated in the modern language. It's more tractors, more equipment, more harvesters. Donkey means more trucks for transportation. So you have only one ox and you have one donkey here. And then here's the point. Once you look over your neighbor and say, okay, how many donkeys there? How many oxen there? Now neighbor has 5 oxen and a neighbor has 5 donkeys. Whoa, wait a minute. I have only 2 altogether. Neighbor has 10. Then you compare. See, once you look over the fence and you compare, the trouble starts. You look at yourself. Say, oh, I'm poor, and then you look at your neighbor. Say, oh, he's wealthy. What does it create? Resentment, and then unhappiness and discontentment, and yeah. So that's the sequence. Follow through. Next, and now this is just a small Bible study. There is the same concept, same theme, but there is a slight change. Exodus 20:17, and I'll put the side by side Exodus Deuteronomy 5:21. Okay, I'm going to just draw your attention to something very important. Exodus 20:17 said neighbor's wife, okay, house, and then neighbor's wife, okay. But Deuteronomy 5:21 says, notice this one, wife first, and then they talk about the house, and then he add the field. Did you notice? See, 2 places they have a wife, okay, but the field is missing on the Exodus, but it showed up in Deuteronomy and anything else. So I said, it's quite interesting. Exodus, they talk about the house, don't covet the house first, and then don't covet wife, but his field is missing. Deuteronomy 5:21, they put the wife first, don't covet neighbor's wife first, then house, and then add the field. Okay? So that's a small Bible study. Same concept. Exodus 20:17, Deuteronomy 5:21. But there's a slight variation. Okay, let's move on. And then, so next item is don't covet anything that belongs to your neighbors. In other words, something which is not yours. Key question. Look, you have your material things, and then you're happy with what you have. So okay. But once you look over the fence, see, you're here and the neighbor's here. You look over the fence and compare. Now you look at the neighbor and say, oh, how many cars do they have? How many boats do they have? How many lawnmowers do they have? How prosperous? How much of achievements they get? How many talents they got? How many success? And start on and on and on. Then you start comparing. Ooh, look at yourself. Oh, I don't have anything. I don't have a car. I don't have a boat. I don't have a lawnmower. Ooh, that means I used to be very happy before. Now I'm not very happy. And said, now the famous word, it's not fair. Have you heard of this word? It's not fair. Okay? And then you come up with all kinds of excuses for your failure. Then what does covetousness lead to or develop into? Always jealousy, envy, resentment. You become very angry. Okay? And then if this goes all the way, it's a thinking to steal and confiscate by force and murder. So that's the meaning of do not covet anything that belongs to your neighbor means. Don't even worry. See, once you start to look over the fence, keyword, and compare, there's something bad happens. All right, let's move on. Now, since I brought up the issue of the field, let's stop for a moment and talk about King Ahab, and then I'll make a point. King Ahab, 1 King 21, I'll just summarize. I'll show only 2 verses. Now Naboth, who is the neighbor, okay? Jezreelite had a vineyard with a field in Jezreel beside the palace of Ahab, king of Samaria. After this, Ahab said to Naboth, oh, give me your vineyard, because I looked at you and look over your fence. Oh, I like this one. Give me your vineyard, and I may have it for a vegetable garden, because it is near my house, and then I want to have it. And then what the neighbor says, no. Why? Because in the old days, okay, in the Bible time, land is inheritance. Okay? It's not something that you just throw it away tomorrow. Okay? Land is inheritance from your parents. So the neighbor says, no. I'm not going to give this land to you. Now and then she means this is a letter, and then the king became very unhappy and pouting, and then his wife says, oh, what's wrong with you? And said, well, neighbor said, I can't have that land. Say, what? So this is how his wife comes into picture. So the wife, Jezebel, wrote a letter and said, proclaim a fast, set Naboth at the head of the people, and set 2 worthless men opposite him. Let them bring a charge against him. It's a false charge, okay? Say, you have cursed God and the king. Then take him out and stone him and kill him. Okay? So this is the plot. So let's go back to the King Ahab and Naboth's story. King Ahab was very happy first, and he had everything what he needed. He had enough food on the table. And then he looked over the fence and then compared what happened. Oh, Naboth has a nice garden. I want to have it. Naboth says, nope, you can have it. Then he become angry and then pouting, and become covetous comes into the picture. And then he said, hey, it's not fair. This is a very famous word. It's not fair. And come. Now the Queen Jezebel, a very wicked woman, come into the picture and said, she wrote a letter how to kill Naboth in Ahab's name. See, Queen Jezebel is not the king. But she wrote a letter how to kill Naboth in Ahab's name, sealed it, and gave it to the elders of the city. And then you know what happened. So those elders followed the instruction and killed the Naboth. After Naboth was killed, then Jezebel went and took the land and gave it to King Ahab, his husband. Okay? That's quite interesting. Then follow this one. Just follow very quickly. Covetousness, see, King Ahab was very happy first, and then he looked over the fence and, oh, I want to have this one. No, you can have it. Oh. And then he became angry and covetous, resentful, and covetous studying. And look over the fence, that's the key. Look over the fence and compare. That's the starting point. Not pouting, this unhappiness, discontentment, and not happy what you have, and forget what you do have. Then there is a bad influence. It has influence upon on the people around you. In this case, it was a negative influence from his wife. Now it led to the premeditated murder plan. And actually, the keyword, Jezebel used the government power to execute death sentence on innocent citizens, and then a seizure of the property by force. Now, remember this concept. This is a very small, quick Bible study. Two women. One woman in Old Testament, 1 King 18:1-4. This is the story of Jezebel. Jezebel said, this is the story about Jezebel and Elijah. If I do not make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow, about this time, and in other words, Jezebel was trying to kill Elijah. And then when Elijah thought, "Ooh, she's going after my life," and he ran away. Okay? And then also on 1 King 18:4 said, Jezebel massacred the prophets of the Lord. See? This is what happened in OT. In the New Testament, woman in the New Testament, Revelation 17, there's a scarlet woman on a scarlet beast. I'll just read on highlight. Woman sitting on a scarlet beast. The woman was arrayed in the purple and scarlet, and then it goes, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlot. Okay? It's a mother of a harlot, and then abomination of the earth. And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints, meaning killed so many people. Blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of the Jesus. So, key points I want to make. Woman in Old Testament, 1 King, Jezebel, the queen Jezebel, woman, persecuted the prophets and then God's friend, and tried to kill the prophet Elijah. Along the same vein, scarlet woman on the beast, okay, murdered means killed the God's faithful followers. Two women. One woman is in Old Testament, and that's the king Jezebel. Scarlet woman in New Testament, Revelation 17, doing the same thing. Two women do the same doing the same act and behavior, killing the God's prophets and killing the God's followers. So going back to question and answer. So what is the cure? What is the cure for the covetousness? 1 Timothy 6:10 gives a very interesting the way to look at the issue. Verse 6 said, but godliness with contentment with happiness. With contentment is a great gain. For, remember this one, it's a very famous concept. We brought nothing into the world, we cannot take anything out of the world. In other words, that's true. When the baby born, they don't come with clothes and hands and socks, and then they don't come anything. But when you die, you don't take anything with you. See, you come with the naked, and you go out with the naked. And that's exactly true. You brought nothing into this world, and we cannot take anything out of the world. But if we have a food and clothing, with those we will be content. We should be happy. But those who desire to be rich fall into temptation, into snare. And I'll skip here. The love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Bible didn't say that money is evil. Love of the money is the root of all kinds of evil. Make sure you know the distinction. So, question and answer. What is the cure? What is the cure for the covetousness? Bible says it's a thankfulness. It's a gratitude. Okay? Question. Can you be covetous and can you be grateful at the same time? Answer is absolutely no. There is no way. So let's think about covetousness first. When you look over the fence and compare your neighbor, okay, you used to be very happy with what you have. Now you are not very happy, and you become ungrateful and focus on other things that people have on the other side. Then what is the result? I'm going to just cite only few from the Bible. Anger, wrath, jealousy, envy, hatred, contention, dissensions, selfish ambitions, premeditated murders, and inward lust, which means outward adultery and fornication. What? Does it ring a bell? This is the exact copy from Galatians 5:19. Okay? And what's the common denominator? What is the common thread of everything that I mentioned to you on this side? It's the unrest. It's the lack of rest, unrest. Let's go to the other side. When you become grateful and gratitude and contentment, you don't look over the fence, you don't compare. You're happy with what you have. Be grateful to God for what you have now, and focus on the thing, what God blessed you with. Then interesting thing happens. Love, joy, peace, long-suffering. Kindness, goodness, faithful, gentleness. Last one, self-control. What is this? This is the fruit of the Spirit. It's Galatians 5:22. If you look at everything what I mentioned, the love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithful, gentleness, and self-control. What is the common thread? Amazing. Rest. See? If you take this pathway, end result is unrest. If you take a gratitude pathway here, you have a rest. Do you see the distinction? It's an amazing thing that I discovered. So let's go 1 Thessalonians 5:18. This is the second part of my major point. Give thanks in all circumstances. Whoa, wait a minute. There's a problem. For this is the will of God in Jesus Christ for you. Wait a minute. So I wrote, see, if you are very thankful, I'm going to summarize because of the time constraint. If you can be very thankful for the small thing, what you have, and focus on, okay, you don't have to worry about jealousy and envy. And then, if I have this one, if I have a boat, if I have this one, if I have a car, I'll be happy. Wait until you get it, you will never be satisfied. So if you can be happy with what you have here and everything, even one piece of apple and pear, okay, go up the tree and sing a song and be happy. Right? You're still good. And when you are giving a much material, you are very still happy. But if you say, only if I have this one, only if I have this car, only if I have this land, if I only have this house, when you get it, I guarantee you'll never be happy either. Okay? So that's the main point I'm making this slide. So, I'll summarize. Get this concept. When you become grateful, thankful, and show the gratitude, what happens? For the small thing, don't look for the big thing. Small thing, gestures, smiles, and then small act of kindness. Okay? Small thing. Then all of a sudden, your outlook, the way you process in your brain, the way of thinking, your perspective changes all of a sudden. Then opportunity seems to pop up everywhere in your life. See, remember, when you become grateful and thankful for some small thing, not big thing, small thing, smile, gestures, and thank you, and I'm sorry, okay? Small thing. Your outlook, the way you process your thinking, way of thinking, perspective changes. Then opportunities pop up everywhere in your life. Don't you think it's a very nice concept? Okay? So, take home point. Do not look over the fence. If you do, you're heading to something bad. Okay? Do not look over the fence and compare. Appreciate what you have, what God blessed you with, and make the best out of it. That's the bottom line. Okay? So, instead of going through all the detail, I just highlight on. If you read the chapter 1 Thessalonians 5. This is a leeway for the constant thanksgiving. There is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5. But I'm going to focus only this part, 5:18. Constant thanksgiving meaning give thanks in everything. So, whoa, wait a minute. I have a problem. It's a question answer. When everything going well in your favor, of course, it's very easy to give glory and give thanks. Everybody can do that. However, when the thing is going against you, it is not easy to give thanks. I'm very honest with you. The real difficult question for me is, how do I do it? How do you give thanks in all circumstances, meaning good and bad? How do you give thanks in everything? Whoa, this is a real tough question. Okay? How do you answer? I'm going to give you just Bible verses, and then we'll move on. Romans 8:28. Those who are interested in, just look at it. This is a reference here. I'm going to go to the main points. We can be thankful that all things work together for our good if we belong to Him. Romans 8:37. We can be thankful that nothing can separate us from God's love of God. Okay? Romans 8:26. We can be thankful that God even supports us spiritually when the difficult time comes, trial, the difficulty comes in our life. And 2 Corinthians 12:9, we can be thankful God's grace, His mercy, is sufficient to sustain us in a very difficult circumstance, in every circumstance. 1 Peter 1:6, rough circumstances, meaning difficulty, trial, affliction. Rough circumstances also produce what? Genuineness of our faith. Not all the other things, external things, is fall apart, and what's inside is going to show up. Okay? So, this is the Namihira's version. Count the blessing from head to toe. Why do I say it? Okay? When you have a tough time, go through this list. Brain, you can think. Okay? Look at your eye, you can see, you can hear, you can know, you can smell, you can breathe. Mouth, you can speak, you can chew, you use your hand, you can move your fingers. Heart, pump the blood, that's good. Lungs, you can get the oxygen in. Stomach, because I'm a stomach doctor, I'm very interested in. Stomach, you can break down the food. Esophagus, you can swallow food. Never take it for granted. After you put your food in your mouth, it is not automatic. Don't take it for granted that the food will go down. Okay? The esophagus can swallow. Stomach can break down. Small intestine can absorb the nutrients from the food. Large intestine can solidify the stool. Kidney can make a urine. Bladder can empty the urine. And feet to walk around. Don't you think it's something you can do everything? How many fingers do you have? 10. How many toes do you have? 10. If you add 5, how many? You have a total of 20. So you have at least 20 things to be very thankful, to say the least. Okay? So be very thankful, grateful to God, because God is the life giver, and then I believe that God is the life sustainer each day. Return something back in appreciation. That's the key. Not by obligation. Oh, no, I have to do it. No. Return in something back in appreciation. And what is the next logical, if you follow this concept? Worship God in appreciation, not by obligation. So this is Namihira's version. So gratitude means very thankful. And then, because every time when I look at this picture, I'm very tearful. Why? Here is a gentleman. How many do you have? How much do you have? Much or less? What's your answer? Much or less? Very little. What do you have? That's the faith, the scripture. See, it tells you everything what you want to know. Attitude of gratitude, and I'll give you a punchline at the end of the presentation. So this picture speaks a volume of the principle. So what does the gratitude does? So I'm going to give you just the highlights of the emotional aspect. When you become very thankful, you become relaxed, okay? You don't become uptight and anxious, and become resilient. Okay, I'm going to conquer this problem. You don't become less envious, okay? You don't envy other people. More good feeling inside of you is good. Because once you have a good feeling, your immune system becomes pumped up, and you can fight the virus, you can fight the cancer, you can fight the bacteria. And it's a happy memory is good for you. Bad memory is not good for you, okay? So this is what exactly the gratitude does. So when you see the dark sky, keep on going. Why? Because you know there is a light sun behind it. Okay? That's the main point I want to relate to. Gratitude. When you see the dark sky, hang on tight. Keep on moving. Keep moving. Because there is a light. There is a sun behind it. Okay? So, Gratitude strengthens our emotion, that's true. Gratitude reduces the feeling of envy and also makes our memories happy and let us experience good feelings and helps us bounce back from the stress. That's very good. Okay? So gratitude helps us bounce back and a good sport. Okay? And then when you have a traumatic, it's called PTSD, it stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. And when you have those things, when you become very grateful, okay? One good thing that I can give you good advice, when you are depressed, start writing, it's called a gratitude journal. What does the gratitude journal mean? I'm very thankful for a piece of bread. I'm thankful for my hand that I can write. I'm thankful for my eyes that I can see. I'm very thankful for my feet that I can walk, okay? When you start writing this, it's called gratitude journal, and each day, your depression all of a sudden disappears. It's an amazing mental health principle. Okay? So, what is the definition of the resilient? The dictionary said it's a ability to withstand shock, okay, a difficult time, without permanent deformation or rupture. Just like this, just like plastic, you can bend, okay, but once you release it, come back. That's called that's the exact concept of the resilient. You can bend here, but at a certain point and hold it, but when you release it, it will come back. Okay, that's called withstanding shock or stress or difficulty without permanent deformation or ruptures, and they recover. Okay, and just easier to misfortune. Other concept is jump back and recoil. Okay. So this picture, what I meant was this. Here is a gentleman and pushing this one, and what will happen? By natural force, this is going to come down. But this guy is using every hand and feet and legs, okay, pushing it. When you are very humble, you know that when you look at this one, it's going to come and it's going to crush. But something happened. When you're grateful and then ask for the help, all of a sudden, you have something extra coming from behind and hold it. It makes sense? That's an amazing concept that I want to share with you. So resilience, I'm going to say, okay, it's basically when you're knocked down by the life, but you still come back stronger than ever, and then rather than letting failure overcome them or drain your resource, because if the circumstances control you, you are going downhill. You have to say, yep, I'm going to change the course. I'm going to change the way I process the situation. I'm going to move on. Okay? And then it's called the rise from the ashes. I'm going to show you the picture more. Okay? And it's positive attitude, optimism, and also regulate your emotions, and see failure that, you're going down, mistakes. See failure as a form of helping feedback. In other words, look at the life and say, it happened, I made a mistake, let me learn the lesson, then use it as a springboard and boom, move up. Okay? That's the point. And the resilient people are able to change course and move on. So this is a fire, and what happens after fire? Everything is burned down, there's nothing there. Okay? There's nothing there. And then all of a sudden you're depressed, oh, I have nothing, I lost everything. And here comes, that's called the little thing, life is coming out from the ash. That is called, very famous, it's called the rise from the ash. Don't you think? See, it's amazing. So remember this word, rise from ashes, meaning even though you have a difficulty, tragedies, you don't stay there. You come out of it. Yeah, it's an important concept, the rise from the ashes. Okay. And this is called, in a psychology, it's called the resilience. So, when you have a positive attitude and you're able to regulate emotions and see failure as a form of helping feedback and stepping stone and change the course, move on. And the flexibility is very important. When something happens, yep, it's part of life, and let's learn the lesson, move on. Okay? And then also the positive thinking. I'm going to come back. See, when you have I mentioned to you, what mind, action, okay? When you have a negative thinking up here in the brain, what's going to happen? It will affect your emotion, it will affect your body's immune system, and affect your health. So remember, mind, action. Mind, action. So positive thinking, your body can move on. Negative thinking, body goes down. Okay? Very important concept. And then I'm going to touch on a couple of things. Even though you go through a difficult time from the doctor's standpoint, make sure that you have a 6 hours sleep no matter what. If you don't, your health goes down. Take good care of yourself, give a 6 hours sleep, pay attention to the exercise, and then maintain the appetite. Go outside and then mingle with the natures, and then it'll heal your inside hurt. It's very important. And then also challenge, problem-solving skills, very important. And then also, when the crisis hits, difficulty comes. It's a part of life. It's very hard. You look, it's going to kill me. Don't think it's insurmountable. But you look at those situations and say, this is the situation I can use and turn around. Okay? And set a realistic goal and move on. And then a very important point, when you have a difficulties come, never go this way. Okay? When you have a difficulty, crisis, and circumstance comes back, best thing is to pull back. Okay? Why I say this one? Simply assess what is before you, and then come back and then approach. Let me give a very realistic example. I'm a GI doctor, and I do this procedure every day. When you do a colon examination, go okay, do this. This is what we call the readout. When you bring a camera goes in your intestine, there is a common point that okay, it's called readout, meaning the camera is going against the colon here. You don't know which way to go. You don't know. And when this happens, you don't keep pushing the camera scope. Otherwise, you can perforate. That's not good. When you get into the dead end, you don't know which way to go. The right thing to do is to pull the scope backward. So this is a readout. You can see anything, and you pull back, and all of a sudden, okay, and screen become this way, and then also you can see that. Okay, and then it's kind of clear. So this is my realistic and also my experience. Just like when I showed during a colonoscopy, the procedure, when the scope gets stuck into the colon, you don't know which way to go. You don't keep pushing. You pull back. Okay, pull back, and then you assess, and all of a sudden you can see where you are at, and you can navigate. So my key point: when the crisis hits, when the difficulty hits, you don't just stay there. You pull back, and then you reassess, and you go forward. Did everybody get the point? I call it's called the readout and pull back technique. Okay? When you cannot see, pull back and assess. When difficulty hit, you pull back and reevaluate. Okay? So I've already mentioned. Okay, and remember this: the problem, challenges, and crises, and then disaster is part of life. Okay? Waiting for problem to go away on its own is not good. It's not going away. You start working on solving the issue immediately. You have a plan and focus on the progress and positive aspect. Don't let the circumstance pull you down. Otherwise, it will affect your immune system, and it affects your sleep, affects your anxiety, and you're going down, 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 down. So this is a summary, okay? When you have an issue, look at the situation and difficulty in life as a part of it. It's a part of life, accept. Use this as a stepping stone and move on. Don't look at yourself as a victim. Look at yourself as a survivor. Keep moving. That's what the meaning of the resilience. Keep moving. Okay? And when you need help, ask for help. That's the summary of the problem-solving skill. It's very important. So what causes gratitude is amazing. When you become attitude of gratitude, okay, be thankful, it's something very interesting that I learned. It is not something that you come from inside. It is by the kindness of other people. And say, wow, this is amazing. So what is the main point I want to make? Be kind and gentle, because you never know. Behind the mask, okay, how much they are suffering. So always be kind and gentle. The gratitude is a byproduct produced by the kindness of other people. Okay? So this is interdependence. Everybody's working together and caring for each other, you see? Okay? The picture speaks aloud. It speaks a volume. Everybody is dependent upon each other. Okay, so I've already covered this one. Let's move on. So when you have jealousy and envy, a small amount, you motivate, you want to do something. But when you have too much of jealousies, envies, and then discontentment, it will lead to the insecurity, materialism, inferiority, and so I'm no good, distrust and unhappiness. Okay? So, attitude of envy and jealousy goes into the I'm not good. But on the other hand, attitude of gratitude goes into something, perception of benevolence. I want to do something for other people. Okay? So, the more you're grateful, this is an important concept, you have more peace of mind, and then what will happen? You have more mental relaxation. It's good for your mental health. And then the more good night's sleep. See, without the 6 hours good night's sleep, you are going downhill. Everybody needs a 6 hours good night's sleep. Okay? And many are longing for thought. So for this, I want to make even the little things to show gratitude for when someone does something good, say thank you. Okay? By acts of tender kindness, a little deed of love speaks a volume. And because the life makes up the sum of life's happiness. So in summary, life is a sum of times. And what is the time consist of? It's a memory. Okay? In the act of kindness, little deed of love, gratitude, it will generate a happy memory and we keep going. Okay? Happiness. But if you act of negative thinking, no deed of love and ingratitude, always unhappy, ingratitude, and also resentment and jealousy, and what will happen? You have an unhappy memory, and it will develop into the bitterness and sorrows. That's not good. So study the nature, trees, grass, and the mountains, oceans, light, sunlight. These are very good things for you to look at and be reminded how God is grateful. You see, how great thou art. Okay? It's amazing. So trees, okay, I'm going to go through quickly. Okay? So this is the nature. So the glory of God is displayed in his handiwork. So study, I've already covered this point. So count the blessing. Educate the soul. So be cheerful. Be thankful. Okay? Thankful. And then expression of gratitude. If you feel thank you, if you say thank you, it doesn't cost you very much. So say thank you, or if you make a mistake and say I'm so sorry. It doesn't cost you very much. Yeah. Expression of gratitude to God for the great love is very important. And Christian cheerfulness is the very beauty of holiness. Yeah, it's amazing. So remember that this picture speaks about volume or principle. So, in conclusion, let me wrap up. Don't look over the fence. That's the point. Don't look over the fence and compare. If you do, you're going in the wrong direction. Appreciate, pay attention. Appreciate what you have. Appreciate what God blessed you with. And the cure for covetousness is the gratitude. Gratitude is a byproduct of kindness of other people. Emotional benefit gratitude makes you more relaxed. You are less envious, and you give them good memories, and you become more resilient. Okay, you're ready to go and attack and cope with the difficulty in life, and rise from the ashes. Okay, even if you're going down and you have a difficulty, nope, I'm gonna go up. Okay, rise from the ashes. That's the spirit of resilience. Okay, and then life is a very complex process. I always say this. Life is a very complex process. It's not easy. There's a setback. It's a part of life. Challenges, tragedies, and difficulties, sickness is a part of life. Setback, look at it as a part of life. And problem-solving skill and gratitude is a byproduct. And then also, we're all dependent upon each other. Gratitude produces positive memories and happiness. More grateful you are, what do you have? You have more peace of mind, more relaxation, and less heart rate goes down, blood pressure goes down, blood sugar goes down. One best benefit for you is a good night's sleep. A minimum of 6 hours of sleep. Good night's sleep. And Bible is full of examples of gratitude. Life is a sum of times. It's true. Our life does not consist of how much we have. Life consists of a sum of times. Time is a product of memories, what you have in your mind. Okay? Educate yourself 3 things. Cheerfulness, thankfulness, and say thank you. Expression of gratitude to God for the great love. This is my final slide, and then this one, I want you to get it. I said 2 main verses today, but this is my final punchline. An attitude of gratitude kills covetousness. Thank you. The closing hymn is 632.